So what are we dealing with? Let's have a good look. This frame, I absolutely love the configuration of this frame. It's really sturdy, but let's get down to see what we're dealing with. I think that's a 7-speed cassette, not a freewheel. Tiny derailleur. 20x3 wheels with 20x3 roll tyres. Rear brake light with indicators, as you can see operating at the moment. Not the best light, but it shows it off. They come with the cards to stop your kids trapping their feet in the wheels when you've got them on the back. Centre kickstand. Engwe's own mid-drive apparently, 100 Newton meters. 180 rotors at the front with hydraulic brakes. Suspension with adjustable rebound, which is new for Engwe. Front fork now has actual adjustments. You can hear it clicking, so it's not just on and off, which is a nice departure for Engwe from the usual stuff. Plastic mud guards, front and rear. Down there we've got a 20 ampere 48 volt battery. If you buy the dual version, you've got a 20 ampere 48 volt additional battery if that's what you paid for. Chain tensioner there, works really well, really well. A nice, comfortable flip top saddle. I do like this saddle. Very good. Feels more comfortable than the ones that I ride around on normally that they put on the bikes. Nice, solid gooseneck stem. The rear canvas is an addition. I absolutely love this bag. The amount of stuff that you can get in it. And it's been nice not to actually ride around with my backpack on. And I can get as much photography equipment in that as I want. Again, the front basket's an addition that you can pay for. But it's worth getting. I've thrown my helmet in it and I've actually had my rucksack in it earlier. That front light is very bright. Again, I'm showing it off in the daylight, but it's very, very bright. I was riding around with it last night and it was fine. So here we've got your adjustment buttons. So if you pass, turn on and off and into your modes. Got various modes you can use. I've always liked these grips. I love this display, I really do. Cycle through the colours for you. And then off. So 5 levels of pass. Tombstone gear changer, indicator buttons there, and no throttle. Hydraulic brake levers on the left and the right, and quite good cable management. Whichever way you're going to look at it, most bikes are going to have to have some sort of cable management on them. Different pedals to what we're used to. They have some sort of skateboard grip tape on the middle, but they're very comfortable, very wide. I'm going to be swapping them out, but I do like them. Mounting points there for the feet boards that go left and right. You can buy them as an additional buy if you've got kids. But yeah, there's a lot to like about this bike. And don't for 1 minute think because it looks small on the video, it's small. It's actually quite a big bike. Really is quite big. So, let's see how it gets on. Let's go. 112 feet over a third of a mile hill climb. Let's see how it manages. It's like no other e-bike I've ridden before. It's massively silent. There's no noise coming from the mid-drive and there's no noise coming from the tyres. So yeah, there's that. if you're anything like me, you can't stand rattles on things, especially my car. If I find a rattle, oh dear. But yeah, for its weight, it's doing rather well. As usual, we're not going to be beating any land speed records, but it's getting up here fine. Job done. So one thing I have noticed is when I'm going downhill and there's no rolling resistance to these tyres, on the way over I got up to 48 kilometers an hour going downhill. And as you can see, I'm not pedaling at the moment. There's no input in this anyway, but it has less rolling resistance than the knobby tyres, so it shifts downhill. As you can see, I'm not pedaling, getting up to nearly 40 kilometers an hour there. So yeah, there's that. The first time I tried this bike out, I started off in first gear and then dropped the gears down, and I dropped it into fifth pass 5, and this thing took off. It's really nippy, but I can feel a bit of resistance in it. I'm on pass 5, but I'm going uphill again, and it's fine. Really is fine. So yeah, it doesn't mind hills at all. I mean, I've just come up, oh, it's quite steep. We're going a different way today. We're skipping out the bypass run, because I don't think this is a bike that really needs to do a bypass run. We'll do the brake test somewhere a bit different today. It's actually the same roundabout I come up to, but we've come a different route today. But oh yeah, these are fine. These are really good brakes. Really good brakes. And they suit this style of bike. Yeah, I like these brakes. Excellent job. I don't know if the mic's picking up the wind today, but it's a bit windy. As I say, in freewheel, this picks up some pace, mainly down to those smooth tyres and the 20x3 wheels. You can see I'm going to 40 kilometers an hour now, and I'm just freewheeling. Right, let's get up the bunny hill. One of the natures of a mid-drive is it tends to clank a bit when you change gear. I'm kind of used to it, you can hear it there. I'm kind of used to it because of the Beifang mid-drive that I used on my N20. But some people might find it a little disconcerting, like there's something wrong with the bike. And there isn't. It's just people just don't know how these things work. The Beifang do a gear changing sensor that you can add to the mid-drive. It takes the clanking out. And kind of thought that was what this was when I opened the box. But I don't think it is. But no problems with Benny Hill. Hear the clank? Yeah, it's just downhill, this thing. And I mean, if you want to save battery, you just disengage the pedals. You're not using any power whatsoever then. But the tyres have got a really good grip to them. You know, these are road tyres. These are not for going sort of round the park on, although you can go around the gravel paths on them. But they marry up, I mean, 42 kilometres an hour. They marry up really well with these brakes that are, look, they're really good, these brakes. So I can stop on a dime on these. They're well suited to this bike. Right, let's get up Horrible Hill. Let's see how it does up here. I doubt I'm going to have any problems with it. I might just have to change down a gear. But yeah, it seems to love hills. It's there's currently a range of bikes that I say Engwe make, and that's the L20, the LE20, and definitely this bike. They're all the e-bike you'll ever need. They really are, especially in this case because the large amount of cargo it can carry. I mean, it's ideal for me just for carrying lots more photography equipment with me, especially in that canvas bag. And pasties. Get a few pasties and a Jaffa cake in there. That's it, no problem. That's the gear change that I was warning you about, the noise. But it's just the torque being driven through the drive onto the chain. They work differently to your average hub motor. Let's get up and go around town. Kind of expected the tyres to have been a bit harder on the ride, but no, they're fine. Absolutely fine. Definitely feel that 100 Newton meters cutting. And this is really, for the size of the bike, this is really nimble. It's really likeable. And if you've seen the build quality of it up close and personal, this thing's sturdy, really sturdy. Probably heard that clunk in there again. You sort of forget that you're on an e-bike because you can put as much effort into this bike as you want, but it doesn't feel like any time that you don't have to. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it's very intuitive as far as e-bikes go. It's like I said, it's quite different to any other e-bike I've ridden before. You wouldn't believe how quiet this bike is. It's genuinely whisper quiet. You don't hear the motor running, you don't hear the pedals going round on the crank, you don't hear the tyres. It's genuinely just whisper silent. And it's one of the things that I love about this bike. It's, then again, as a detriment, if you're riding up behind people on a pavement, which you shouldn't be, they can't hear you coming. But it's a brilliant bike so far. It's definitely the most utilitarian and ride-friendly bike that Engwe makes. It's also probably got the biggest range. It's just absolutely awesome. I mean, I'm never going to get the range that they compare to what they've got on their site. I weigh 240 pounds with my pack, and this bike's quite heavy, and if you've sort of skipped forward and watched another part of the video, you'll understand why this is draining the battery. But overall, it's just an awesome bike. It attacks hills like they're not there, and you don't have to put a lot of effort in. I was asked online today, you know, what sort of effort you've got to input into the pedals to get it moving, and it's not a lot. I mean, it depends on what gear you're in. So you slap it in a, say, first gear, you don't have to put hardly any effort in. I tend to sort of keep it in 5 at the moment, past 5, past 4, and in 7th gear, because, well, that works. So I'm riding along right now with no assist whatsoever, and it's fine. 20 kilometers an hour, bang up into first. You can feel a little bump in power. Not much, it's quite subtle. But yeah, that's fine. Into second, bit more of a bump in power. And I'm going uphill. You know, put a bit of effort in. You know, I'm into 20, 23, 24 kilometers an hour. Past 3. Another bump in power. Fine. You know, you're just hitting the limit. And this is really all you need to ride round on in past 3. Unless you come to a big hill. When you actually need a bit of assist because of the weight of the bike and you and whatever kit you've got on it. Past 4, another slight bump in power. Again, it's fine, absolutely fine. I do not feel like I need a suspension seat post on this, which is really surprising because I thought I would do. But I've ordered it, so I'm probably going to end up fitting it. So we're coming to, as you can see in the distance, bigger hill. I'm going into past 5. I'm still in 7th gear. I've not moved into anything that I need to move into because of the severity of the hill. As you can see, I'm not out of breath. Might slow down a bit, but 7th, quite a steep hill. Past 5, job done. The majority of this review, I've ridden it round in past 5. Well, I know I'm consuming in past 5 around about 20% more energy than I need to. But if I messed with the gears, I went down into past 3 more often, I can easily see 100-mile range on this e-bike. See? No e-bike confiscation anxiety. Well, I don't know what it's going to be like down here today. Let's find out. Let's come down the canal. We've had a lot of rain recently, it's partly why I didn't want to come down here, but we might just only do a shortened run. How quiet is this bike? It's about 4 degrees today, so it's hardly balmy. Again, when I come down here, I only need it in sort of past 2, so we'll go over to past 2 because I'm not really racing along here, am I? Past 2 along here, 18 kilometers an hour. Perfect. It's very still. It's also very, very cold. Should have brought my other gloves too. Cue the music. So a bit like the Boost and the Engine Pro 2.0, this bike keeps surprising me. It really does. It's a move away from what you expect from an Engwe. It really is a move away. And as you can see, these tyres are fine on gravel. Chow Yangs again. I like a bit of Chow Yang tyre nowadays. I've actually come
to actually like these tyres. As I said before in other videos, that I mod bikes, so it's probably the reason that I do go for different, more expensive tyres, but these are far higher than the usual that'll do. You can see why so many of these Chinese e-bike companies use them, because they do the job well. I've done nearly 37 kilometers, and I'm down to coming up to about 70% on the battery. But I've really tortured this bike. So in real terms, I reckon if you use past 3, if you freewheel a bit more, and even at my weight, 240 pound, you're easily going to get 100 miles range out of this bike, easily. The fact that I've just been leaving it in past 5 most of the time, obviously I'm in 3 now because I don't need the power along here. But what else do you want from a bike? I've mentioned this before, and where I built bikes that'll do 100 miles in range, I'm never doing 100 miles in a day. I mean, I think the most that I've done is over 70 miles in a day, and I was sore, and it took up most of the day. You don't need it. And you're never really going to use all the range on this bike, even if you're a delivery rider. You're never going to use all this range. You're just not going to get there as quickly as you thought you were going to get there. Yeah, I know I keep saying it, and I've said it about the Boost, and I've said it about the L20, and this more than ever is all the e-bike you'll ever need. You can go on adventures with it, you can take the kids with it, you can go shopping with it, you can move kit around with it. You know, what else do you want from an e-bike? And especially at this price point. Have you seen the competition? Now, I was looking at the Fido with 1 battery. Similar bike to this. It's not a torque sensor. Or I don't think it's a torque sensor, I'll check that. Rear head motor, so it's not a mid-drive. If you buy this with a single battery as well, I mean, it's 200 quid more. If you buy it with dual batteries, I think it's 400 quid more. And look at the bike you're getting. Look at the bike you're getting. Mid-drive and torque sensor. That alone. Hydraulic brakes. It lacks one thing that I'll go over in the breakdown, which it's a niggle, but I'm also doing a video about that at some point. But like I said, it's a niggle. But in this country, it's something that we pretty much need, especially most of Northern Europe. Winter's definitely coming. Winter's here now, actually. Technically it's winter, but the proper cold's coming. I'm still going to get out for rides. I'm still going to go places. If it's dry and the roads aren't wet, I'll still get out and about. I'll probably still come down here. My Engine Pro 2.0 loves coming down here. Or I love coming down here on it. So the quiet and the calm. It's quite desolate down here today. But as you can see, absolutely no problems. In the comments section, just out of a matter of interest, what do you want from an e-bike? Make a small list of the things that you'd like to see that this hasn't got. Be interesting to pass that information on to Engwe. You know, there's got to be common things that Engwe don't put on their bikes that everybody wants. I've got a few that I'd like to see on here. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what you leave in the comments. You know, especially that we're in the UK, so we're going to try and keep these bikes legal. Are they enjoyable? You still want to have some enjoyment out of these bikes, don't you? The other thing I like about this bike is I feel safe on it. I do feel safe on it. And I was saying for a while about the L20 and the L20 Boost could have done with having 3-inch knobblies on. And having 3-inch smooth tyres, road tyres on it, it's pretty much what I thought I wanted, and it is what I wanted. As the world changes and as the laws change, ENGWE are trying to keep going along with everything that's thrown at them, and I've got to commend them for that. And at the price point of this bike, you know, with all the toys that I've got on this, like the versatile bag, well, the versatile canvas, you know, the front rack, the front basket, you know, 40 amp hours of range, you can get all that for under £2,000. And if you look at the competition and what they cost, like Turn, you know, Bosch systems on some of these Trek bikes and Cannondale bikes that are very similar to this, or do very similar things to this, this is very good value for money. Very good value. When you buy the Trek or the Cannondale or the Turn cargo e-bike like this, you're paying double the price. Decathlon do a B-twin bike. It's quite similar to this, but not dual battery. I don't think it has a torque sensor, and it's more than this. It's more than this. This for me is like the bargain of the century, and it shows that ENGWE are turning into better bikes, better builds, better options. For me, ENGWE have grown up. They're doing their best for customer service. They are improving. I can see that. I can see that by some of the comments that they have improved. I mean, I'm all over social media with ENGWE, so I do tend to keep an eye out. If anybody's got a problem, I tend to try and pass it on. Same as Christopher on ENGWE e-bikes. He'll tag people in that can deal with problems. Because sometimes people just don't even contact ENGWE, they just moan about the problem instead of trying to deal with it. As I say, this thing shifts downhill. It's not the steepest hill, but it definitely shifts. And because it's a torque sensor, you still get a bit of power in it up to about 26 mile an hour. But after that, 26 kilometers an hour, but after that you're kind of on your own. There'll be no issue then about putting a bigger chainring on the front. But that's not really what this bike's about, is it? This is about getting this bike from A to B without any rush. It's not just a cargo bike, it's an adventure bike for me. As you can see, I'm freewheeling, I'm doing pretty much 42, 43, you know, kilometers an hour down here. It's fast enough. Yeah, it's definitely fast enough. It's a powerful little thing, this. Well, I say little, I've said that before about e-bikes being little. They're not. This one certainly isn't. All I've done during this review is found hills. Just gone up different hills you've never seen me going up before. I'm just really trying to drain these batteries out. And it's never once skipped a beat. It's never once felt like the mid-drive was struggling. In fact, quite the opposite. It continues to throw power at it when I need it, which is all I want from my e-bike. I mean, you could categorise this as what it's meant to be categorised as, if it's a, you know, cargo bike for carrying stuff or carrying kids, or, but that don't do it justice. It's such a clever little machine. There we go, little again. So you've all seen me come up here before. And like I say, if you know Wakefield, you know how steep this hill is. You can see the graduation starting in front of me. And it's like that to the top, really. but it has no problems getting up here. Is it the fastest? No. But it got me up there. So those of you unaware, this versatile canvas bag, well, they just call it versatile canvas. It's actually a bag. It's not just for keeping your kids dry in wetter weather when you've got them on the back. And this brings me to another point. I've taken the one side off for those of you who are never going to use that card, but the little foot grabber thing to stop kids from sticking their feet in, I've left on the other side just for filming today. But in my version, the one that I'm going to be using as a long-term bike, that's coming off because I don't need it. There's obviously down beneath there, look, you've got your peg stands which can be screwed in. They're a separate item. But yeah, so far so good. Price wise, I think there's nothing in the UK marketplace that competes with this. It's that good. But would I choose it over my Pro 2.0 or the Boost? Which could I live with the most? And that's a decision I've got to make for the breakdown. If you're looking for an e-bike and you can justify the little bit more money this costs over the Pro 2.0, if you've got kids, if you want to go shopping on your e-bike, this is what I'd choose. This is the no-brainer version. I say it has a couple of fleas on fleas, and actually one flea, but it's something I can live with. As cold as it's been, I've actually enjoyed being out on this. I really have enjoyed being out on this. I wish I could have reviewed this in the summer. Really do, but obviously it wasn't out then. Well, it wasn't out here in the autumn. We still had some good weather up until a few weeks back. But I've absolutely enjoyed doing this review. I've got some exercise. It's what I want from my e-bikes. It's not necessarily what you all want from yours, but from a reviewer point of view, it ticks nearly all my boxes. More so than any other bike that Engwe makes. This is what I mean by quiet. You can't hear a peep out of this bike. It's absolutely silent. The motor's actually just like a whisper. Not the chocolate bar, that is. do like that display. Well, it's dark now, you can tell by all the lights being on. I'm using pure video for night riding on this, so the sky looks light for some unknown reason, but trust me, it's only for filming in dark situations. It's actually near enough dark now. Every time I sort of get back on this bike, it kind of surprises me with something. There's a few things about the bike that I've not mentioned yet, but the adjustable front fork is now adjustable. It's not on or off. So you've got well, you've got different settings for rebound, and you've got different settings for softness. And it makes a big difference, especially on a big bike like this. It's really enjoyable to ride, it's really comfortable, and like I said, you forget that you haven't got any rear suspension on it. It's really, really, really good. I mean, I've ordered some a suspension seat post for this, but I'm not going to use it. I don't think I am. Saying that, I'll see what it's like on here, but yeah, it's brilliant.
So I'm back from just doing the hill climbs. I'm still a bit out of breath actually, because I've been zooming around like mad. So here's the thing, I'm back from the hill climbs, and they're the first thing I filmed for this review. I want to show you something. So in here, a bit later on I'll be carrying kit with it, but right now, what's in here? Big reveal. That's a 47.5 kilo dumbbell, which equates to about £104. Now that's in other reviews with these bikes, and people have just been throwing water bottles in the back. So if you get 12 2-litre water bottles in the back, which probably fill the space up, you're looking at 24 kilos. This is was about double that. So I've just done all the hill climbs. I've done the hill climb, the Benny Hill, and the Horrible Hill with this on the back. So that was one of the surprises I was going to show you. This bike managed to get up all those hills with over £100 on the back. Yeah, just one more thing, just in case some of you think it's a fake weight. It's not.
Well, I bet none of you saw that coming, did you? Yeah, for probably 15 miles I rode around with that £104 weight on the back. And if you go back and watch the beginning of the video, you'll see 104 running at the bottom of the left-hand side of the screen. Until that turns off, I had that weight on the bike, which is pretty impressive. So where do I start? Where's the bad points? There's one which I'll come up to at the end, and it's not a bad point, it's a niggle. But if you want a cargo bike, this is the one to get. This cargo bike is brilliant. This cargo bike is currently, without doubt, the best e-bike that Engwe makes, and anything that's close to this, competition-wise, it's double the price, minimum. I've got a friend who's got a Trek cargo bike. And it cost him £4.5, nearly £5 with the bits on it. And I've got all the bits on this, or you can get all the bits on this with the discount code for under £2. Under £2. It's the bargain of the century. It's absolutely a brilliant bike. I'm not going to mess about. I'm not going to niggle and go into other bits. There's going to be a follow-up video to this, because there's a couple of things that I need to get sure with Engwe. But this, as it goes out, is the video that stands. I'm also going to find out what this is for. You've all seen it. If you bought one, I'm getting the definitive answer, but at the moment the answer stands that it's a diagnostic tool and a calibration tool, but there'll be more information on that coming when it's needed. So the brakes are good. The whole setup, the bike is so sturdy. The bike is just solid. The down frame where the battery goes, it's like that. It's solid as a rock. And the rest of the bike's just equally well built. It's really well built. The brakes are fantastic. 180 rotors and 2-piston hydraulic brakes, and it's enough for this bike. Comes with various toys. It's got a rear basket you can buy, front basket you can buy. I absolutely love, because I'm out doing photography all the time, I actually love that canvas, versatile canvas they call it. I keep getting it wrong. It's a canvas bag, or you can put your kids' legs through it, keep them dry. But it's absolutely brilliant. It's probably, I've ridden a lot of e-bikes. It's probably the best e-bike I've ridden. Let's talk about the torque sensor. It works really, really well. It's very intuitive. The bike's completely intuitive. The controls, instead of like I was dealing with the Boost, you can operate them with a glove on. The Boost buttons were so small on that display, you could barely change them. If you had gloves on, it made that job, it just accentuated that up. Pedals are nice and wide. They work really well. Look, I'm really struggling to find anything wrong with it. The front suspension is now clickable, so you can go into different softnesses and the rebound you can adjust. So you can adjust the bike to suit you and what you've got on the front basket, if you've got a front basket on. I like plastic fenders. They've got plastic fenders on. You know nothing's going to go wrong with them. The indicators work really well, and it shows up in the display. One other thing, you can charge both batteries from just the one charge point. So instead of unplugging it, it charges both at the same time. That fast charger is unbelievable. I know some of you are going to say, oh, well, it's going to kill the battery life. It's not. You're never going to ride enough in your lifetime on one of these bikes to worry about the battery sort of degrading because you're using a fast charger. And 40 amp hours of range. 40 amp hours of range. And as I pull up on the screen during the review, and I put the nearest thing I could find to it, and with the bits that add on it, that B-twin cargo bike, it's like 400 quid more than you can get all this kit for with the discount code. What? I don't know what else anybody else wants in an e-bike, but this, it totally surprised me. I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to be this good. It's turned out to be an absolute revelation where it comes to Engwe. I never expected this. Those 20B3 tyres are really grippy. I really like them. And the rolling resistance not being there when you're going downhill, that bike picks up speed quite quickly. Did pick up speed with that 104 pound weight on the back, which sort of dragged me down the hill a bit. But it worked really well. And I was really pleased with how it turned out. So let's get down to my niggle with the bike, and it's an almost perfect bike. Almost perfect, and it's missing one thing. And it's not IP65 rated. Would I ride it in the rain? Yes, absolutely. I know how the mid-drive is protected, so yes, I'd ride it in the rain. But it could have done with that just little peace of mind thing where it was IP65 rated, and it's not. And because of that, I've got to give it the score I'm going to give it. It's the one thing that lets it down. Engwe always get it slightly, a little bit off. And if they'd have had a boost button on it, it's an automatic 10. It takes a lot of things like range anxiety away from you. It takes that anxiety you've got when you have to take the back wheel off because it's a nub motor and you've got to disconnect the motor. We don't have to, it's like a normal bike with this. You know, you've not just got rid of those two anxieties, you've also got rid of bike confiscation anxiety because it's fully legal. It's a fully legal bike. There's a lot to love about this bike, and it blew me away. I never expected Engwe to come out with a bike like this. Listen, if you've got the money, buy one. Just buy one. I've never said that about one of their bikes before. Just buy it. It's just brilliant. If you've got kids, it's that one thing that they wanted to do, which was sort of like, one of the arguments is, could this e-bike replace a second car? You know, the one that the wife drives round in or you drive round in just to go a little bit of shopping or just go see friends or take the kids, a kid or two to school. You know, if they're small enough size, you can take a couple of small kids on the back of this to school. And it negates that thing with the second car. I don't know where they're going to go forward with this net now. I think they've just sort of completely outdone themselves. I'm going to struggle. I've actually seen Engwe's next e-bike,
And that's a bit... So I've got to give it a score out of 10. And it's got to be 9.7. If it had been IP6 rated, that'd have been 9.9. It'd have probably been a perfect 10 if it had a boost button on it. It's that good. But don't let those things put you off. This bike is absolutely brilliant. And at the price point, there's absolutely no competition. I'm just going to leave it at that. Video coming up next will be my review of the top 5 Engwe e-bikes of the year. Obviously this is going to be top, so it's a bit of a giveaway, but it'd be nice to see how I feel about the 4 that come underneath it. Highly recommended. I'm probably not going to be doing a video between now and Christmas, so I wish you all a happy Christmas from now. Thanks to everybody that subscribes. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It helps the channel grow a little bit. You know, it is what it is. But I would like more subscribers. Have a nice Christmas, everybody.